What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando, and joining me tonight with our sign language interpretation is Taraka Gabriel. Let's now take a look at our headlines for tonight.
Will the importation of India's COVID-19 vaccines be delayed further? Trade unions protest opposite the Indian High Commission, demanding that the East Container Terminal be protected. Farmers of Valsapugala continue hunger strike, seeking elephant management reserve.
First up in news here at home, the University of Colombo marked a century since the commencement of the Faculty of Arts and the Faculty of Science today. The library of the university, declared open in 1921, also celebrated a century since its establishment.
A special event was organized by the Colombo University to mark a century since the commencement of the Faculty of Arts and Science. The university's Vice-Chancellor, Senior Professor Chandrika Vijayaratne, presided over the event. Deans of various faculties, professors and senior officials at the university were among the dignitaries present. Education Secretary Professor Kabila Pereira and the Chairman of the University Grants Commission Professor Sampath Amaratunga also attended the event. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa also extended their wishes on the historic occasion.
University of Colombo has been one of the foremost seats of higher learning to nourish and guide young and energetic minds to etch their names in chosen fields in Sri Lanka and abroad. The quest to achieve development in the country lies heavily on the foundation of her education. I wish the community of scholars of the University of Colombo all the strength and success in rethinking and reshaping our education in such a way that young scholars of a developing nation today will make it a developed one tomorrow. Thank you.
Joe Biden has been sworn in as the 46th U.S. President, ushering a new administration ending one of the most dramatic political transitions in American history. Kamala Devi Harris of Indian descent was sworn in as the Vice President of the nation. Many world leaders congratulated the newly appointed President Joe Biden, who claimed victory at the last year's presidential election, defeating former President Donald Trump.
Leaders of several countries have congratulated newly sworn-in US President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris after they took oaths yesterday. Taking to his Twitter handle, French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed the US back to the Paris Agreement. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison tweeted that he hopes to work closely with the new US administration. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also tweeted that he hopes to work with US President Joe Biden to take the India-US partnership to even greater heights. Meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has said that the Sri Lankan government is looking forward to working together with the US to strengthen bilateral relationships between the two nations. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa published a congratulatory tweet to the newly inaugurated US President and Vice President as well.
When political solutions are not provided to an economic crisis, various entities, be it officials or those in the political circles, create problems. They stir up racism or extremism as a result. In such an instance, emotions are given prominence over intelligence, resulting in more problems. There is a tendency for such incidents to occur. That is how the problem at the Jaffna University took place. When Donald Trump could not resolve economic problems, everyone went against his administration. Ultimately, he lost his power as well. The problems are created for this purpose.
Meanwhile, indigenous medical practitioner Dhammika Bandara distributed his herbal tonic in Kegol today amidst delays in importing COVID-19 vaccines to the country.
Our correspondent reported that large crowds flocked to the residence of Dhammika Bandara in expectation of receiving the herbal tonic. The tonic was distributed free of charge from 9:30 to 11 a.m. today. Our cameras captured how people thronged the residence of Dhammika Bandara to receive his herbal tonic. Anyone cannot level accusations against this tonic until it has completed clinical trials. The doctors will disapprove the tonic if it is not up to the required standards. Until then, I am allowed to develop this tonic and distribute it. The Warakapula Pradesh Sabha has granted me approval to manufacture, distribute and sell the tonic. I am doing this after obtaining the relevant approval. On the 19th of this month, the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka said that India has delayed the process of granting vaccines to Sri Lanka as regulatory clearance has not been granted yet.
The President has held discussions with countries that are manufacturing the vaccine. A special task force has been appointed to bring down these vaccines at the earliest and to distribute them among the country's population. A distribution plan has also been prepared. The vaccine would first be offered to healthcare workers in the front line.
From where would the vaccines be obtained, and with which country has an agreement been signed for this purpose? Has an agreement been signed with the co-vaccine manufacturers? In November, the minister told Parliament that Sri Lanka has registered with the COVAX facility. It would cost $25,000 million to obtain the vaccines this year. I don't feel that this facility has even 1/3 of this amount. They have said that the first batch of vaccines would be offered to just 3% of the population, while the second batch will cover 17%. We might receive it by the end of this year or next year. But do not give hopes that the vaccine would be brought down in 3 or 4 months.
The Indian External Affairs Minister had said the vaccine would be offered without a cost to the entirety of Sri Lanka and that it would be offered to us first. Once the External Affairs Minister left, the other countries received the vaccine while Sri Lanka did not. It was not given to us. The process of receiving vaccines is being delayed. We are wondering whether the vaccine would be granted to us only after we give away the East Container Terminal to them.
If India is assuming that they can block this process to stir up agitations among the people, I wish to state that it is better to die of COVID-19 rather than giving away the port in exchange for vaccines. Parliamentarian Anurakumar Dissanayake expressed these views on the herbal COVID-19 tonic in Parliament today. They are running around with the tonic. What have you done? I feel disappointed over what you have done. A photograph showing you taking a look at the bottle in a manner in which one looks at the alcohol percentage. Why did you get involved in this? Mr. Speaker, this tonic is not effective. It was developed and given to the Health Minister. In such an instant, what must the Health Minister do? It must have been sent to the relevant evaluation institute. But the Health Minister consumed it. She will consume even poison if someone claims it to be a medicine. What sort of mockery is this? I saw that she consumed the tonic out of a spoon and signaled that it was good. I wish to caution that someone can bring poison and give it to you under the guise of providing a tonic. Therefore, don't consume it directly. Mr. Speaker, I do not wish to witness anyone being affected by COVID-19 or to see the pandemic spreading. We are all humans. Everyone needs a life with proper well-being. But I am happy to see someone who consumed this tonic publicly being infected by the virus. If the Health Minister approved the tonic by testing it publicly, then such approval can be disputed only after a person who consumed it tests positive for the virus. I am happy that PL Nishantha had shown that the tonic is not effective after consuming it publicly.
Sovereignty at risk. The new struggle for freedom.
The Portuguese used an animal skin to enter the country. The Dutch asked for a mere plot of land before they invaded. The British used an agreement. At the end of it all, we were given subjugation. We became a conquered nation for centuries. If President Premadasa did not send back the foreign soldiers brought to Sri Lanka under the guise of a peacekeeping force, under the Indo-Sri Lanka Agreement signed by President J.R. Jayawardena in 1987, wouldn't we, to date, remain a colony? It is now time to think again. Foreign forces eyeing strategic locations in Sri Lanka are raising their heads once again. These forces are now eyeing our culture nurtured alongside the teachings of the Theravadi Buddhism. At the dawn of our 73rd Independence Day, the time has come to think again. Let us unite and protect our home, Mother Sri Lanka.
The Joint Trade Union Collective staged a demonstration opposite the Indian High Commission in Colombo today, opposing the move to sell 49% of the stake of the Colombo Port's East Container Terminal to India's Adani Group. The demonstrators attempted to hand over a letter to the High Commission. However, their attempts proved to be futile.
අපි ඉන්දියාවේ හයි කමිෂන් සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ ආවේ අපේ වරාය පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නය ගැන කතා කරන්න. අපි ලියුමක් දෙන්න ආවේ. ඒතකොට ඒ ලියුම බාර ගන්න හයි කමිෂනට බැරි නම් එයාගේ නියෝජිත වෙන අද සත්‍ය වැඩ කරලා අවසර කරනවා ලියුමක් බාර ගන්න අපදන්න කියලා ප්‍රශ්න අධි කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් කොප්ලාරිස ඔක්කොම සීල් කරලා තියෙනවලු. කවුරු හරි පරිපාලන නිලධාරියෙක් ඇතුලේ කවුරුත් නැහැ.
Subsequently, the demonstrators left the premises without handing over the document.
All 23 port trade unions gathered at the Indian High Commission today to meet the relevant officials and discuss our proposals with them. As we entered the premises, they rejected us. If this is how the Indian High Commission conducts itself, then we are wondering whether we will have independence after all. If this is how they respond to us, we will carry out a program to boycott all Indian manufactured products. We will announce a date on when we will start our protest against India, which will commence with the boycotting of IOC fuel.
අපි පටන් ගන්නවා මේකට උත්තරේ මේ ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කිරීම තුල තියෙන්නේ ඉන්දියානු උද්දච්චභාවය. මේ උද්දච්චභාවය අපිට අදාළ නැහැ කියන එක අපි පැහැදිලිව කියනවා. මේ රටේ ජාතික සම්පතක් පිළිබඳව කතා කරන්න ඒ ගැන.
If the Indian High Commission is not willing to accept a letter from the port trade unions in Sri Lanka, we question as to whether we should hand over one of our most important strategic national assets to that country. This is why we oppose the move to sell our terminal to India. Members of the Mahasangha criticized the government during an event held at the Abhayarama temple in Narahempita to mark the 65th birthday of Venerable Omare Kassapathero, who serves as the Anunayaka of the Sri Rohana division of the Siam sect. The president spoke to me and pointed out that the Buddhist monks are criticizing him. I am not a person who would reprimand a person. However, just as I tell anyone, I wish to remind you as well that I will remain undeterred regardless of the obstacles. Our ethos is to respect justice and to oppose injustice. We believe that the president is a person who loves the country. That is why we were working tirelessly to bring him into power a year ago. But since he was elected to power, various entities have been trying to manipulate him. Earlier it was the Hambantota port. Now it is the Colombo port. As the Mahasangha, we are ready to take all possible steps to protect this. Just as the sacred tooth relic protects the Dalada Maligawa, we must come forward to protect the East Container Terminal. That is our duty. All governments have worked tirelessly to appease the Americans, Indians and the Chinese. When will steps be taken to make the people of Sri Lanka happy? Can't they make us happy? This is a very crucial period. Two entities have protected the country that we loved and has lasted for about 2,500 years. They are the ordinary people and Buddhist monks. It was politics that destroyed both these entities. Today we are witnessing the repercussions of these moves.
පැවිදි කියන පක්ෂ දෙක. ඒ පක්ෂ දෙක විනාශ කරමේ කාලකන්ණි දේශපාලනය. අද ඒක විපාක අපි විඳිනවා.
පවතින මේ රජය දැනගන්න ඕන අභයාරාමය මොකද්ද කියලා. මෙතෙන්ට අභයාරාමය
The government must understand the value of the Abhayaramaya. They try to replace this with the Mahindaramaya. I honestly witnessed the activities carried out by these theros.
අවංකවම දැක්කා. අන්තිමට බැරි තැන දෙවියන් ළඟට ගියා. උපුල්වන් දෙවියන්ගේ ඉඳලා සංදේශ හදලා දෙවිවරුන්ට හදන්න පුළුවන් ද අපි නෝ හැදුවේ මහමග නිදාගනිමින් අපි ඇවිල්ලා වාහන පෙරහැර වලින් කැලණියට ගිහිල්ලා විභීෂණ දෙවියන්ට නියෝගයක් කළා. මේ දුර්දාන්ත ආණ්ඩුව පළවා හරින්න මේ දෙවිවරුන්ට ඇහැරෙන්නේ නැද්ද කියලා දැන් වෙනකොට ජනතාව අතර මහා සංඝ
The people and the Mahasangha are disturbed by what is happening at present. We are wondering the fate that would befall us as a result of allowing the country to be governed in this manner.
කීරණම පිළිබඳව අපි කල්පනා කරනවා.
අපිට මට මතකයි මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා වේදිකාවේ ඉතා බරපතල ප්‍රකාශයක් කරා.
Mahinda Rajapaksa made a very strong statement concerning foreign companies. He declared that the government would even forcefully acquire the country's national resources that have been sold out to various entities. But the individuals who made these claims have come into power and are attempting to lease out the East Container Terminal. We wish to remind the government that empty mortars are only used for a gun salute. I now understand that they had been running around the country with an empty mortar.
මෝටාරු උණ්ඩයක් තමයි කරේ තියාගෙන රටවටේ ගිහිලා තින්නේ කියලා අපිට කියන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා.
An event was organized by the Janata Vimukti Peramuna in Anuradhapura yesterday to apprise the public on the impact of selling national resources.
දැන් මේ ආණ්ඩුව බලයට ගේන්න මැදිහත්
Several individuals were actively involved in bringing this government into power. One of them is Padaniya. When the port is being sold, they are coming out and claiming that it is a constitutional problem and that the policy of the leader that they elected has not differed from what was said before the election. This struggle cannot be won if those telling lies are not exposed. There is another person called Gunaruwan. He is claiming that there is a problem with ministers from Kalutara. I feel sorry for innocent Rohita. Another group is claiming that it is Basil who is causing this problem. Dr. Vasanta Bandara is saying that the port must not be sold by citing that it is a problem caused by P. Sundara. These individuals are trying to act as a progressive force by misleading the people. All the individuals upon whom the blame was being laid participated in a discussion on a common platform. The President, Basil Rajapaksa and P. Sundara, the relevant minister and his secretary and the chairman of the Ports Authority came on a common platform and informed the trade unions of the government's decision. We must thank Gotabaya Rajapaksa for this. Although attempts are being made to tell lies, it was Gotabaya Rajapaksa who came out and declared that a fraction of the port will be given to India. He also said that the terminal has to be given as the Hambantota port had been given to China. Therefore, they can't provide other reasons to involve other entities. The President has said directly that there is a geopolitical aspect to this and that they have to give a portion of it to India since a portion has already been given to China. The truth has been revealed regardless of the remarks made on investments. If 49% of the East Container Terminal is being given away, the term that they use for it does not matter. In 1505, the Portuguese took control of us by using weapons. Now India is taking over 49% using dollars. When we look at the attempts that were taken to bring Gotabaya Rajapaksa to power, starting from the point in which he was named as a presidential candidate after the April 21st attacks and the intervention made by the US and India, we can observe that the suspects behind the April 21st attacks are seeking refuge in India. It cannot be done without the support of the Indian government. The man behind this is Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's plan is to return the favours to all those who were involved in the process of electing him to power. It is the country's national resources that are paying the price of all these activities.
Meanwhile, the Editors Guild of India has condemned the issue of a non-bailable warrant against senior journalist Paranjoy Guha Tharkurta by a court for an article he had co-authored against the Adani Group in 2017.
In a statement issued on Thursday, it called upon the Adani Group to withdraw the criminal defamation case against Thakurta. It also urged the higher judiciary to take cognizance of the fact that laws such as a criminal defamation are often used to impede freedom of speech.
News First. The truth as it is.
Parliamentarians expressed following views in response to Minister Sarath Weerasekara's proposal on providing military training to individuals above the age of 18.
The proposals put forward by certain ministers of the ruling party are not realistic. The Minister of Public Security proposes to provide military training to every individual above the age of 18. Let's assume training is provided to everyone between the ages of 18 and 26. Then there are approximately 3.5 million Sri Lankans who would fall within this category. Let's assume training is provided for 6 months. Providing military training to a soldier for 6 months costs the army 400,000 rupees. If military training is to be provided to 3.5 million individuals, it will cost the government 75 billion rupees. Does the government have sufficient resources to do this? Are these proposals realistic? The minister must make responsible statements and refrain from narrating fairy tales.
ඒක ගැන මේ වෙලාවේ හිතන්නත් උවමනාවකුත් කිසිම පළක් නැහැ.
There is no point in putting forward a proposal or even thinking about such a proposal now. Has the government provided facilities to all schools? We need to purchase more face masks. Poor families cannot afford to purchase face masks every week. Will such a proposal bring any value at a time like this? Approximately 25% of our population cannot afford 3 meals a day. This is the problem that needs to be addressed first.
We have
Struggling to find reliable plumbers, electricians, gardeners and other service providers? Bellboys got you covered.
a fast start to death campaign launched by farmers seeking a solution to the human-elephant conflict in Walaspula area in Suriwava is underway.
The manager of the Mayurapura division of the Mahaweli authority requested farmers to end the fast by promising that the problem would be resolved through a gazette notification within a month. However, the protesters refused to accept the undertaking and insisted that the protest would be called off once the problem is resolved. Hambantota District Secretary W.H. Karunaratne held discussions with the protesters today and said that talks will take place with the subject minister on the 28th of this month. But the farmers refused to accept this as well. Meanwhile, a group of farmers cultivating in the proposed wild elephant management reserve in Hambantota who arrived at the scene protested against the farmers who were staging the fast.
වනාලීන් ටිකට මේ රක්ෂිතේ ගැසට් කරලා මේක නිදහස් කරන්න
ඒකට ඔබතුමාලා සූර්ය බලාගාර ගහනකොට ඔය මේ ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් ගහනකොට මේ හයිවේ මාර්ග හදනකොට මේ වරායවල් හදනකොට ඔය හඩ නැගුවේ නැද්ද? ඒතකොට ඔය වල වන් යුර මෙහාට එන්න කලින් මේ වල්සපු ගල කරවල ගස්සව තිස්සපුර සේරම මහ කැලේ තිබුණේ. දැන් අපිට වරාය කරපු අක්කර 300 ඩොලර් මේ කැලේ වෙන්නේ.
අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න. ඔයාලට අන්න පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන් අන්න පිටු බලාගාර. ඒවා මේවා මේ පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන් ෆොටෝ දාලා මෙන්න පුළුවන් මේ ටික පෙන්වන්න නැතුව ඇයි අපේ වගාම පෙන්වන්නේ? අපි මේක ගොයි. අන්න අපිට තියෙන මේ උපවාසය කරන එක මහත් එක්ක කියලා මේ ගමේ දරුවෝ පිරිසක් වගා කරනවා ඒගොල්ලන් සාමයක් දෙන්න කියලා.
අපිට ඔක්කොටම වැඩි අලි කරදරේ තියෙන්නේ.
ඒ අලි කරදරේ අපේ ඔබ පැත්තේ අද ඊයක නෙවෙයි තිබුණේ. ඕක දේශපාලඥයන්ට කියන්න ඕන. ඕක ඉස්සර ඔය කැලේ තිබුණේ.
The police intervened and took steps to disperse the protesters. Meanwhile, Minister Chamal Rajapaksa commented on the hunger fast that is underway. We have developed a new plan to set up a new managed elephant reserve in Suryawava. We have completed planning. That has to be gazetted. If the gazette is published without listing out the regulations, the people who are calling for this won't even be able to set foot on that area. This will prompt farmers involved in chenna cultivation to stage protest as well. Considering all those factors, we have developed a new model. We have asked the regulations to be given to us in a couple of weeks.
Opposition leader Said Premadasa revealed today that he had sent large bills for the houses given to outstanding sportsmen and sportswomen during his tenure as minister.
නිවාස ඇමතිව සිටිය කාලේ උසස් ක්‍රීඩා කුසලතාවයන් දක්වපු
We implemented the housing program for many of the outstanding sportsmen and sportswomen who excelled in sports. I kindly request the government to relieve the inconvenience caused to those sportsmen and women by presenting expensive utility bills for those houses that were given for a very small amount of money. Therefore, I would like to make a very kind request to the government to stop this attempt of charging expensive utility bills for the houses that were given for a very small price and to limit the amount of the bills as well.
ඒ නිවාස සම්පත සීමා කරන්නයි කියලා මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ බොහොම කාරුණිකව ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
The leader of the opposition revealed these facts while donating money to Dasuni Tarindya, a student at the President's Girls' College, Navala, for her future sports activities under the leader of the opposition's mobile service.
Sri Lanka opened its airports for international tourists from today after a lapse of 10 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Tourism Ministry said that tourists can land at the Bandar Naik International Airport and the Mattale Airport through charter flights, scheduled flights or private jets. Tourists arriving in the country must place a pre-booking for PCR tests and purchase a mandatory COVID-19 insurance cover worth $50,000 for a month. The insurance can be purchased by visiting www.visitsrilanka.gov.lk. According to the Tourism Ministry, tourists will have to undergo 2 PCR tests, each priced at $40 if their stay is for a week and 3 tests if the stay exceeds 7 days. They will also have to book a safe and secure hotel for 2 weeks when applying for their visas. A media conference was held today to clarify matters regarding the latest decision to reopen the country's airports.
There were communication issues, and I totally agree with you. That has been identified, as I mentioned before, that there is a command center, operation center in our unit, which is a 24-hour setup, 1912. So everything is being coordinated. Actually, we are working with immigration, airport aviation, civil aviation, the Ministry of Health, the COVID task force, the tourist police, etc.
The livelihood of around 3 million people depend on tourism in Sri Lanka. It is our national responsibility to take into consideration all needs of our citizens that depend on this industry. In order to do this, we require the media's support. I would like to make humble request to extend your support to us during these challenging times.
The minister also spoke the income generated from the tourism pilot project.
So far, there are about nearly 1,500 passengers per year. It was estimated that 420 million revenue has come to Sri Lanka during that period.
Judges cannot use the judicial platform to satisfy third-party and personal interests and have agendas, and should at all times avoid possible conflicts of interest, says the Attorney General Dapula Dilera.
He was speaking at the ceremonial sitting to welcome Justice Janak Tisilva, Justice Achala Venkapuli and Justice Mahinda Sameyawadana to the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. The Attorney General said the backlog of cases in Sri Lanka is a perennial problem and it has to be addressed urgently and quickly, methodically and efficiently, and to deliver speedy justice and prevent laws delays without compromising the quality of justice. He added that public confidence in the judiciary is dependent on the independence and integrity of the judiciary. The Attorney General further said the sovereignty is in the people and is alienable, and that sovereignty of the people is exercised by the judiciary in the public trust.
The all-share price index of the Colombo Stock Exchange surpassed 8,000 points for the first time in history today.
The all-share price index ended 3.13% higher, closing at 8,131.25, that is 246.80 basis points higher than yesterday, while daily turnover exceeded 14.2 billion rupees. Today's top gainer was Haley's Group after several of its subsidiaries announced a subdivision of shares yesterday. Among the top 10 were Haley's Fibre, whose share price soared 74.83% to close at 255 rupees and 25 cents. Haycarb by 49.85% to close at 1,154 rupees and 25 cents. Haley's PLC by 35.06% to close at 780 rupees per share. Dip Products by 30.61% to close at 576 rupees per share, and Royal Ceramics Lanka by 29% to close at 278 rupees per share. EB Creasy and Company, Nation Lanka Finance, Amana Bank, Muller and Phipps, Ceylon and LLC Development Finance were the top losers for the day. DIP Products reported the most active number of trades, while the highest number of shares traded was reported from Brown's Investments.
Meanwhile, Justice Kumudini Wickramasinghe, who was appointed to the Supreme Court, said her desire is to do justice to mankind in accordance with the law and acting according to her conscience without any distinction as to race, religion, language, gender, identity, status or parties of any other factors. A more detailed story of that will be available on our www.newsfirst.lk, and with that we wrap up news for tonight. Do take care and good night.